It has finally gone ahead and happened. Everything we look at shows the CS2 market has crashed. Now first up here, talking about the Paris capsules. Now this is an area we expected to do exactly what it's doing right now. That's because a lot of these capsules, the ones with stickers in them specifically, had a very large supply, and although the demand is definitely there for these, as we're going to talk about in just a minute, we know how massive the supply is. We know that in the short term, these are the most liquid item out there, and therefore they're going to be in a position where, as you can see, we're probably going to approach the lowest price point we've seen ever since the removal of these capsules. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now, talking about the Paris autograph capsules, it's a little bit of a different story. That's because, as we can see, a lot of them are actually still above that median price point we see of 27-28 cents. That's because of a couple different things. First off, if we want to talk about the Paris Contenders autograph capsule, we picked this one out early, and we said this is probably going to be the one that I'm going to follow the most for the autographs. But for these as a whole, we can see that generally they have a little bit of a lower supply, and although that definitely does come with a lower demand, in the short term here, when we're focusing on the liquidity and people dumping these onto the market, that's actually a really beneficial thing for a lot of these capsules, because they're able to avoid a lot of that and end up in the position we see for them right now, where they end up having a little bit of short-term growth, or at the very least not dropping down significantly in price like the others. Now, I do like prices going down periodically to give people a chance to enter the market. However, one major negative thing that comes along with that is the rare case market. Now, the rare case market I absolutely love, but it's very volatile to what's been going on with the current market, which is not something I really think it should be, because we can see right here, over the past 6 months, a lot of these cases have seen some pretty massive growth, and that's really crucial, because when we focus on the past month, we've seen a complete opposite of that. We're seeing a lot of rare cases down potentially 20%, which is a massive difference from what I periodically think we should be seeing for these cases. We know these cases' supply is only going to be decreasing. We know the demand that they're going to have long term for these cases is absolutely massive, but I want to focus in on two things specifically. First up, if we want to look at the monthly unboxing numbers, we can see 40 million cases in the past month or so. That's an absolutely massive number, but focusing in on the weekly unboxing numbers, we only see 6 million. Multiply that by 4, we're looking at 24 million, which is significantly less than what we're seeing for the monthly unboxing numbers, meaning exactly this. Case unboxings have fell off a cliff. People are not unboxing cases anywhere close to what they were doing it just a couple weeks ago. And that's crucially important, because a lot of these rare cases we talking about, this is the reason they're decreasing so significantly in price. The demand for these cases, at least in the short term here, has completely fallen off, which when we look at a 6-month period is not going to be the most impactful long term, but in a short term here, 20% of the value being gone for these cases is a really important thing. Now, focusing in on Paris stickers and the hollows specifically, they're starting to do exactly what we expected them to, and finally starting to see some pretty massive price decreases. We're seeing potentially 25 to 30% drops all across the board for pretty much every hollow, and I'm excited to see this. Honestly speaking, we talked about these hollows the whole time being extremely pumped up by investors, and we're starting to see that come to fruition here, because so many of these hollows, in fact, pretty much every single hollow is down pretty much an equal amount, and a lot of them is exactly what we expected them to do. Let's be completely honest. A lot of these hollows are good, but they're not that good. We can compare them to Stockholm and Antwerp. We look at the prices for hollows during Antwerp, and they are nowhere comparable. The most expensive being the Cloud9 at like $3. There's very few that you could actually buy for $3 before this decrease we're seeing right now. Now, focusing in on the glitters and some of the other areas, they're seeing some pretty similar-ish decreases, not to the same size as the hollows, as those weren't pumped up specifically, but none of these stickers overall are starting to prosper during this time, which is not too unexpected in my personal opinion. Now, unexpectedly, we're actually starting to see quite the opposite for Stockholm and Antwerp. These are starting to see the exact same trends that I expect to see for the rare case market, meaning that they drop down and they're starting to recover already. Most of them are sitting pretty much net even for the past month or so, which is extremely crucial when you realize that a lot of them were actually down quite significantly about 2 weeks ago. This is extremely important because it shows, one, obviously you need to be diversified in your specific investments, but two, good investments are going to prosper over a longer period of time. It's very easy to get trapped in a mindset right now that items are going to continually keep on decreasing, especially if you're invested into Paris. I mean, obviously we know Paris is a little bit more of a risky-ish investment in the short term, but long term it should be able to prosper, and that's exactly what we're seeing for Stockholm and Antwerp capsules and some of the stickers inside of them specifically. Just because they are good investments, they are going to reach that point eventually, and when we're talking about Paris, I think they're going to get to that point, but it's not going to be today or tomorrow. Now, looking at the indicators, we can see that the CS2 market has crashed, but what are those indicators? First up is actually going to be the active duty cases. That's because they're an extremely volatile area, but they're usually, generally speaking, pretty correct in what's going on in the market. We can see the active duty cases right now. A lot of them are down potentially 15-20%, maybe even a little bit more, and that's extremely important to realize because this comes back to what we were mentioning earlier with the amount of cases being unboxed being down significantly. We can see that exactly playing out in what we're seeing for these active duty cases right here. Now, the second so-called indicator I look for is just going to be your more safe general investments that you believe that are going to have good growth. These are going to be your rare cases. These are going to be your more secure capsules like Stockholm and Antwerp. These are the ones that I personally have the majority of my investments into because I strongly believe in them, and therefore it's just a smart idea to keep these ones out on my watch. And then lastly, we obviously have to have the indicator itself, and the indicator itself does not show anything good going on. If we want to look over the past month or so, it's down a pretty significant amount for a relatively stable item. This is the Sticker 2 capsule. It's not something that should be taken 100% seriously, but do also realize that it has been correct in predicting every peak and every lull in the market, or at least showing it in the past history. And we can see over the past week or so, it's actually down about 10%, showing that the market has definitely slipped, especially in the short term here. However, we have a couple pieces of really great news. The first of which you've probably seen is that the Shanghai major has officially been approved. This is going to be the first major in China, and I believe the first one in Asia as a whole. This is extremely crucial because this is a huge part of the game itself when it comes to the market interest, and therefore if having it in that area is going to increase the interest in that region, that would be perfect considering that region provides a significant amount of money funneling into the skins and the market as a whole. Second of which, we've also seen that Valve has continued to roll out their significant updates. They've got a whole interview done in which they realized that CS2 is not in the position that they wanted it to be, but they're continually working on it. The player counts are going down, and they realize that fully, which is extremely crucial. And I think the fact that the unboxing numbers are also going now is definitely going to put this a little bit more on their radar if it wasn't there already. Now, what should you specifically do during this time? Well, I'm going to have a detailed video coming up of what specifically in a longer process, but the biggest thing is don't sell off any of your items right now, especially if you've got some of those rare cases or other good investments that are just down in the shorter period here. There's no reason for you to sell and try and go into other investments, or sell and just hold on to this money. If you've picked up a good investment and you've got a good strong reasoning for investing into that investment, we can look over a longer period of time. All of the investments that we generally talk about have done well. They're going to continue to do well. It's just over a longer period of time. So what exactly is next for CS2 investing? Well, we've got a couple things on the horizon. Obviously, we mentioned the next major is going to be Copenhagen, and then after that we've got Shanghai. We do have a potential brand new case or an operation on the way just because we're looking at record long times between the past ones and this one's, but more specifically, it's going to be coming down to what exactly Valve does update wise. We can see that they're constantly pushing out updates, and a lot of people were extremely satisfied with the past couple of updates just in the amount of substance they brought to the game. These are going to be the biggest impacts for CS2 investing moving forward, in my personal opinion, especially in the shorter period here. That's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.